In the beginning, we hear a monologue from a sailor who has been sailing for 67 days. The date is September 1914. They started their journey looking for a remote island in the Antarctic. The main protagonist, named Friend, is here on the island to work as a weather observer. When they arrive at the island's shore, Friend looks around and feels eerie about the place. Friend points out to Captain Axel that they haven't seen a single bird since they arrived at the island. The cabin Friend is supposed to be staying in is in very bad shape. While walking towards the lighthouse, they encounter strange-looking writings on the stones. Seeing that, Captain Axel immediately orders his men to go back to the boat. He and Friend then continue walking towards the lighthouse. Friend sees a huge number of spikes placed outside the lighthouse, some attached to the outside walls of the building. Axel knocks at the door and asks if anyone is there, but there's no response. With no response from inside, Friend pushes the door, and they are able to enter the building. On the top floor of the building, they find a man sleeping on the bed. Alex asks him to wake up and says Friend is the new weather official, replacing the old official Alder. Axel asks about Alder's whereabouts because he now has to take Alder back. The man they encounter is Gruner. He said that the old official went out one day, and Gruner never saw him again. Gruner doesn't know what happened to him. Concerned about Friend's safety, Captain Axel offers his revolver to him, but we don't see whether Friend takes it or not. After saying goodbye to the captain and the other sailors, Friend thinks that he now has to spend the next 12 months in this lighthouse, logging the intensity and direction of the wind. While settling in the office, he comes across former officer Alder's logbook. While reading the logbook, Friend sees drawings of strange-looking creatures and descriptions of them. Another page shows the lighthouse with a few creatures standing nearby. The next morning, Friend finds a huge number of collected seashells, and these are placed inside circles made of black rocks. While logging, Friend looks toward the lighthouse using his binoculars and sees something peeking through the glass. He looks again, but the thing disappears. Later that night, Friend hears strange noises outside his door. He calls for Gruner, asking if he is making noises to prank him. But there's no response, and the noises continue. Friend sees a black foot coming through the door. Reacting quickly, he stomps on the limb, and the creature goes away, screaming. The screaming noise from the creatures continues to grow louder. Friend opens the basement door and hides inside. He hears something moving in his room, and objects clattering. When he tries to look, a creature stares directly at him. Friend swiftly attacks it, and the creature runs away. He uses a rope to lock the basement door in place, and waits for the night to be over. In the morning, he comes out and sees many strange footprints on the ground. Then he heads to the lighthouse to meet with Gruner. However, Gruner doesn't appreciate the disturbances, and throws a bucket of water in Friend's direction. Returning to his cabin, Friend uses wood pieces and ropes to design a protective barrier against the creatures that will come at night. He creates weapons from wood and digs soil to prepare traps all around the cabin. Boarding up the windows and door, he gets ready for the night. In one of the boxes, he finds a rifle and some ammo. Finally, night arrives and Friend is prepared for the fight with his traps and the rifle he found. He sees a huge number of humanoid creatures crawling on the stones, coming toward him. As he hears noise right outside his door, he gets ready. The creatures smash his window and try to get inside. He fires multiple rounds at them, and they retreat for a while. Quickly reloading the rifle, he waits for the next wave of attack. Some of them climb onto the cabin roof, and Friend fires at them through the roof. A few try to get in through the now almost open door. Friend grabs a torch, lights it up, and throws it outside at the traps he placed earlier. The surroundings of his cabin light up, creating a protective barrier. However, Friend faces a problem. The fire spreads inside the cabin. Unable to control it, and with the door stuck, he can't escape. With desperation, he covers his face and runs outside through the door. He takes cover among nearby stones. Suddenly, he hears thunder, and the rain begins. The rain prevented his cabin from being completely burnt to ashes. The next day, Friend hides behind the rocks and watches Gruner's activities. While doing so, he encounters one of the cold-skinned creatures, and they both start fighting. Friend grabs his gun and is about to shoot, but Gruner stops him and points a gun at Friend. Gruner convinces Friend that the female creature in front of them is harmless, and that she and Gruner are friends. After learning that Friend has vodka, gin, and ammunition, Gruner comes to Friend's cabin and invites him to stay at the lighthouse. Friend learns that the former weather official was stranded on the island and lost his life there. Later that night, the creature licks blood off Friend's hand, and Friend pulls his hand away. Fascinated, Friend wonders why the creature hasn't tried to escape from Gruner. The female creature is also excited to meet Friend. As night falls again, Gruner tells Friend to get his rifle ready and turns on the light. They both prepare for the night. Gruner advises Friend not to shoot at the creature until they reach the tower, and not to waste bullets on the wounded. Meanwhile, the creature makes weird noises, and they see groups of creatures on the ground approaching the tower. Gruner starts firing, and Friend follows the lead. However, Friend is scared by the huge number of creatures. Many of them manage to climb to the top, but Gruner throws them off the tower. During the fight, Friend slowly loses consciousness. The next day, Gruner throws a bucket of water at Friend to wake him up, angry about what happened the previous night. After fetching water from a nearby stream, Friend witnesses Gruner having intercourse with the creature. Feeling very weird after witnessing the incident, Friend is surprised when the creature offers him some food, but Gruner stops it. That night, Gruner launches a flare into the ocean, and the creatures come running toward the tower. This time, Gruner leaves Friend outside, asking him to defend the tower and locking him out behind the armored gate. The following day, Gruner opens the door and sees that Friend has defeated all the creatures that attacked the previous night. Several days pass, and every night, the monsters attack the lighthouse. Their assaults are becoming longer and harder to beat. Friend expresses concern that the wailing of the female creature might attract more creatures to the tower each night. Gruner has no answer but insists on exterminating the creatures. He asks Friend to prepare more spikes, although Friend argues that since they haven't been attacked in weeks, there's no need. But Gruner is persistent. The creatures haven't stormed the tower for a while, and Friend wonders if they've learned that they couldn't defeat the two of them. According to Gruner, though, the creatures are planning for a bigger attack. Friend is now getting closer to the creature. He has given her a name, Anaris. While Gruner treats her badly, Friend shows kindness towards Anaris. Friend proposes to Gruner that they could take a sample of the creature to Great Britain or the United States, and they would be celebrated for their discovery. During a game of chess, they are suddenly stormed by the creatures, but Gruner manages to get them off the tower. A huge number of creatures is seen coming towards the lighthouse. Friend and Gruner hold them off, but this time their numbers aren't reducing. The creatures overwhelm them, and they try to fall back inside the locked door. Unfortunately, Gruner couldn't lock the door properly, and the creatures got inside. Gruner climbs a ladder to the upper floor, and barely manages to close the door behind him. The creatures surround them in the light room, where there is no hiding place. Finally, the sun rises, and the creatures start to retreat from the lighthouse. Friend tells Gruner that they can't endure another assault like that. They're running out of ammunition, supplies, and more importantly, their will to fight. While walking on the beach, Friend spots a ship and runs towards the lighthouse to send a signal. He tries to launch a flare, but Gruner prevents him from doing so. The creature jumps into the fight to defend Friend. Gruner is about to attack her, but Friend stops him, and the creature runs away. Gruner picks up the flare and says that he doesn't need any humans. Seeing the creature afraid and hurt, Friend tries to comfort her. He teaches her what a boat is, and after seeing that the creature tries to show him something, she asks Friend to follow her. After a while, Friend finds a boat half buried in the sand. Gruner tells him that the boat belongs to some Portuguese smugglers who washed up ashore because of the storms. Friend plans to use the diving suit to recover dynamite from the smuggler's ship, repair the rowboat, and get off the island. All Friend wants is for Gruner to pump air into his diving suit. Gruner doesn't show much enthusiasm for this. Meanwhile, the relationship between Friend and the creature is getting deeper, and Gruner notices this. The next morning, Gruner brings the diving suit and says that he changed his mind, they should leave now. They both hop into the small boat and paddle towards the old Portuguese vessel. After giving instructions, friend dives underwater with his suit. He places hooks into a box, and Gruner pulls it up, and like this several others. Suddenly, something moves at high speed, catching friend's attention. The thing comes right at his helmet, and friend falls to the ocean floor. He tries to alert Gruner, but Gruner remains still. The creature dives towards friend but doesn't attack. Friend finally tears a hole in his suit and swims upwards, using the air pressure as aid. In one box, they find water-damaged dynamite, but the other one contains good ones. Gruner plants these dynamites in the area surrounding the lighthouse and connects them with wires. Again night falls, and the two of them wait for waves of attack, but surprisingly, nothing happens. Gruner waits the entire night outside, underneath the snow. He's now angry with Anaris, thinking she alerted the other creatures. Friend stops him, and now Gruner tells him that they will leave the main door open. When the creatures enter the building, Friend will target them, and Gruner will hit the detonator. They both wait at their predetermined place, as discussed earlier. Gruner tells Anaris to sing and call the other creatures. Suddenly, a gust of wind flows, and it shuts off the lamp. Friend steps outside to bring it back. But as he lights it up, a creature appears right in the doorway and attacks Friend. He fights with the creature and manages to defeat it. Meanwhile, Gruner fires a flare, and the creatures are seen running on the ground. Friend quickly assumes his position and starts shooting at them. However, the creatures immediately overwhelm him, and he has to fall back to the upper floor. He tells Gruner that the creatures are inside, and Gruner immediately hits the detonator. Surprisingly, it doesn't work, and the creatures are now climbing the lighthouse in huge numbers. Friend runs to the top of the lighthouse where Gruner is, and tries to rewire the detonator. This time it triggers, and some of the dynamite placed earlier explodes one after the other. Gruner hits the second detonator, triggering the remaining explosives around the building. The next morning, Gruner kills the remaining wounded creatures. On the following night, they can hear the creatures mourning for their lost ones. Out of respect for the creatures and Anaris, Friend makes a stone circle in the sand and places the toy boat inside it. Gruner quickly goes back to making more explosives using gunpowder and shells. A few mornings later, Friend encounters the young creature he saw at the ocean floor. He approaches Friend, and he is not alone. Soon, he is followed by Anaris and several other creatures. However, Gruner comes with his rifle and tries to shoot them. Friend tells Gruner that they were wrong, and that the creatures want to make a truce, not harm. Gruner is now having a psychotic breakdown, thinking everyone will leave him, and he goes back to the lighthouse, crying. The creatures are about to go back, but Gruner launches a flare, hitting the young creature. Friend tries to help him but fails. Gruner continues to fire more flares, and the creatures return to the sea. Friend runs back to the building, and they both fight each other. Although Friend is winning at first, Gruner overpowers him and is about to deliver a fatal blow. But Friend yells that Alder Vigeland is not a murderer. Gruner stops hearing this and walks away outside. He is quickly attacked by the creatures, and Friend locks the door from inside. Some time has passed since then. A captain and a few soldiers have arrived at the lighthouse. They address the person sleeping in the bed as Mr. Gruner. They say they are here to replace the old weather official. However, the man sleeping on the bed is Friend, who has assumed the identity and characteristics of Gruner. He says only one word, lies, and walks toward the window, looking into the distance. We see Anaris running among nearby stones and diving into the ocean water.